Welcome to Kelly Gangsters, and in this video I'll be discussing the story of David Mack and Rafeal Perez. If you didn't know, Rafeal Perez was the inspiration for the story of Training Day. Another officer I should mention before the story begins, is Kevin Gaines. Kevin Gaines was an associate of David Mack and Rafeal Perez and was also working for the rder division. He also had ties to Blood Pyru sets, Death Row Records, and was dating Suge Knight's ex-wife. He was killed on March 18, 1997 by another LAPD officer, Frank Liga, who claimed self-defense. Now back onto the main story. Gang violence in South Louisiana and Compton was around since the early 30s, but the Crips and Bloods had formed by mid-1970s. By the 80s, crack hit California and these gangs would start selling crack to get an income. This is when gangs became a lot more dangerous and went from revolvers to fully automatic AK-47s and Uzis. However, the LAPD had the rder division to tackle gang violence, and they even had some officers dressed as Bloods and Crips to go undercover. Little did they know that would be the downfall of their whole operation. We'll get onto the story of David Mack first. David Anthony Mack was born in 1961 in Compton and was a professional runner before joining the LAPD in '88. He started off a regular patrol officer and then became an undercover narcotic officer. Somewhere in the 1990s he became a rder crash officer, where he was given an award of heroism after shooting a drug dealer and saving Rafeal Perez's life. However, this was a lie, as the two planted a gun onto the dealer after they shot him. Perez was another rder officer who was born in Puerto Rico in 1967 and moved all around the US and was a Marine before joining the LAPD. From the get-go he wasn't a normal cop, as he dressed and talked like a gang member, and later on down the line he was discovered to be a member or affiliate member of the Bloods, along either David Mack. It is unknown which gang they were affiliates of, but some people believe it was the Bounty Hunter Bloods. In 1996 the first real questionable action came from Perez after he shot and paralyzed Javier Vondo, a gang member who was unarmed. He was left paralyzed and sentenced to 23 years. In 1998 he stole crack from the LAPD evidence locker that was worth $800,000. It was suspected Perez had stolen it to set up Frank Liga for another crime after he killed Perez's friend Kevin Gaines. In 1998 he was revicted for his crimes and took a plea deal to a shorter sentence and agreed to snitch on all the corruption in the LAPD. Over the years he has been convicted of stealing the crack, shooting Javier, planting a gun on him. In 2015 he was released and is working as a limo driver. Going back to 1997, both Mack and Perez are allegedly working for Suge Knight as security, and this is when they started dressing as Bloods, outside of their undercover work. Although Reggie Wright denies it, there are loads of factors and evidence that could support these claims, such as multiple photos that have been circling around. Mob James, who was a Mob Pyru and part of the security team, said that the Bloods were Suge's goons. He had a crew of hitmen which consisted of G, Nob, Juju, and Poochie, the man who many strongly believe is the killer of Biggie. However, these Bloods were out of control and even planned on kidnapping Suge, so he also had off-duty LA and Compton PD officers, who were often corrupt, also be part of the security and control the Bloods. In March 1997 Biggie was killed in a drive-by by a man in a Nation of Islam attire, who many believe to Amir Muhammad. Although there isn't much evidence to point him towards these crimes, something would unveil a few months later. In August 1997 David Mack robbed the Bank of America's South California branch. He created a plan which involved his girlfriend, Iralyn Remoro, who worked at the bank. She ordered double the amount of money into the bank, and when David Mack entered and asked to have access, she let him in, where he then proceeded to take around $722,000. He was with two accomplices who were never caught, but one was believed to be Rafeal Perez. Romero confessed to the crime, and in December 1997 Mack was arrested and was released in 2010. While inside he was visited by a man named Amir Muhammad, which was the exact same name of the person originally believed to have killed Biggie. Around this time Perez was also in jail and was befriended by an informant who Perez then told that Mack robbed the money to pay off a man named Harry Billups who killed Biggie. He is the same man known as Amir Muhammad. Thank you for watching.